the next session, we discussed now a lot on content strategy. I'm very happy that at this session we talk about a lot about content innovation, actually. So we speak about business models that really apply this ecosystem of Google. I'm very happy that we have two very innovative companies there. We have two other panelists who will give feedback from established media and are very innovative. And we have, again, a great friend of DLD and a great moderator of DLD and an evangelist of all what is digital content and digital content ecosystem, Jarvis, with us. Jeff is a long-term expert in media. He was a journalist. He was in digital media. He recently, over the last 3 years, created the journalism program, the new journalism program at CUNY School in New York, where he does incredible workshops on entrepreneurial new ways into journalism and business models. And obviously, he's also the author of the book, What Would Google Do? Who knows the book, What Would Google Do? So Jeff, you have your base here, so expectations are high right now. And the last panel was also very strong. Floor is to you to introduce now our panelists and to have a very good discussion. Thank you.
Remind me never to follow Google. I should know that. We have a very good panel here on the future of media. It was a year ago in a panel here, I was sitting down there, that Dr. Burda stood up, and you've heard this quoted many times today, talk about the lousy pennies of digital. I hope that today what we'll talk about instead is creating content with wonderful pennies, because it can be much cheaper. Finding new pennies in targeting and new structure and how we deal with the public. So pennies may not all be lousy anymore if you get enough of them added up and don't spend too many of them. So today we have a panel of people who are doing some amazing things. We're going to talk about many models of content. There's also other people here in the room. I don't know whether Samir Arora is here from Glam. There are companies like that that have new models as well. And I want to have the discussion with all of you, bringing in quickly. I'll pardon myself for using my laptop, but I lost my paper and pen, and I'm accused of not liking paper anyway, so it's gone. We have on our panel here Shawn Colo from Demand Media, which you'll hear described in a few minutes, which is a very innovative model for creating content. Next, we have Peter Berger from Suite 101, which is a Burda investment, which preceded Demand Media and operates in a slightly different model. We'll compare and contrast those. Then we have Gregor Vogelsang, who's the author of Customer Centricity, Die neue Chance für die Medienindustrie. Richtig zu sagen? Yeah? Okay, good. Is it Booz? And then we have Edward Roussel from The Telegraph, who's in charge of digital there, who's doing a lot of interesting new things. So why don't we start with Shawn, and Shawn's going to show a very few slides to describe and explain how demand works, because it's a bit of a model that's going to bend your brain about how content works. Shawn.
First of all, we love to follow Google. We follow them all around the internet and get a lot of information based on the data that they give us and what people are searching for. But so we've got a couple of slides. It's literally 3 or 4, so I'm not going to bore you with a commercial about demand. But our goal is effectively fairly simple. We want to publish the information that the world wants to know and share. We think our business model is actually quite simple also. Effectively, we do what a lot of traditional media companies do. We create content, we distribute it, and we monetize it. Of course, it's not that simple to execute on a model that has global ambitions and spans multiple categories. So in order to do that, we've raised a fair amount of capital. We've raised $355 million of private equity. We have used that capital wisely to make acquisitions as well as develop products. And we've really assembled a world-class team of internet experts led by Richard Rosenblatt, who some of you may know. He was the chairman of MySpace and has really been living and breathing social media his entire career. So I'm just going to take you through the content creation process. This is part of the business that's been getting a lot of people's attention lately. What we have created is a professional, qualified network of freelancers. Today we've got about 7,000 or so creators in the network. And it's a directed network, which basically means that we don't let people just come in and create anything they want. We tell them what to create. And the way we're able to do that is effectively using a lot of science and a lot of data, a lot of search data, to effectively determine whether or not a piece of content can compete for search traffic, whether there's audience demand, and whether we can monetize it with advertising. So that is a very unique part of our business. It's not the whole story. We are also in the distribution business. We own and operate our own network of websites. These are brands like eHow, livestrong.com, trails.com. This network today reaches over 100 million unique users a month. I think the slide's got 90. We also deliver content to partners and really spend some time thinking about off-network distribution. We are the largest provider of video content today to YouTube. And lastly, from a business perspective, we're focused on making money. We sell branded display advertising. We work with a lot of large partners in order to integrate them as part of the experience. We do rely heavily on performance marketing. We rely a lot on Google and Yahoo. We've also got partnerships with people like Comcast and the Golf Channel who do a great job monetizing our inventory. Lastly, we also have a part of our business that's a recurring subscription model, and that's mostly for platform services. Part of our business is we are the second largest wholesale domain registrar in the world. I think of domains as off-network distribution. We've got a lot of option value there in terms of content, but that network creates an enormous amount of value for us. It's a subscription model. In addition, we have the Pluck technology, which many of you know. It powers the social media of a lot of big media brands like Sky in the UK, as well as a number of big media brands in the US. Okay, so we love the traditional media business. We've actually learned a lot about how to create content by studying what publishers do. Publishers such as Berta do a great job, obviously, creating a lot of content at scale. But what we've determined is, and we've looked at a lot of data, is that when you compare different models, you see a lot of different results from an ROI perspective. So if you have a simple creator-suggested model, this is people telling you what they want to write about, that's basically our baseline. And you compare that to an editorially led model, there's clearly an improvement in terms of revenue and in terms of performance. But when you combine that with algorithms and data, and especially add just a lot of market intelligence to that process, you can really juice the revenue and really create economies of scale and great efficiency. So the last thing I'll just show you is just a couple of our sites and platforms. You can see eHow is a site that we acquired a couple of years ago. It was generating about 4 million unique visitors per month. Today it's approaching 60 million. Livestrong.com is a leader in the health, wellness, and fitness category. This is a brand that we developed from scratch. So this is not something we acquired. We developed it with Lance Armstrong and the foundation. And you can see that the numbers are up and to the right on Livestrong. Cracked.com in the comedy vertical, again, sort of an emerging leader. And lastly, Expert Village, which is the brand that we use on YouTube, and you can see that the number of streams continues to grow. There's a little bit of a dip in the chart because we started experimenting with some different formats, and YouTube started experimenting with some different things as well. But it's still early days for us as a publisher. Our real objective is to create engaging, unique, compelling consumer experiences, and really that's the fundamentally the business we're in. So,
Shawn, thank you. Very efficient of you, as is demand. Let's not lose the key insights that are here, I think. Right? The two things that are getting people's attention are, number one, the demand is creating content at a lower cost. And they're doing that by paying writers an average of $20, right? And by also taking the functions of writing a piece and splitting them up. That's one. The second thing that should get a lot of attention here is the demand, and I think this is the newer part, is listening to the audience in new ways to give the audience what the audience wants. I used to consult for About.com, and because they're a creature of Google, they get 80% of their traffic from Google, the writers there all constantly look at the search requests coming in from Google, and when they find questions that people are asking for which they don't have an answer, they write the answer. We in big old media tended to ask both the questions and the answers because we couldn't hear. Now we can hear. So demand took that to a new level by not just doing it manually, but by having the algorithm look for those things, could be wrong, that have the greatest demand and that also have the greatest monetary potential, and you spit out, the algorithm puts out a headline, it's then fixed by an editor, and then someone writes that piece and it goes up and it gets Google juice. True?
Yes.
Okay, so those are two key insights here that I think are very important to discuss as to where this goes, and we'll come back to both in a moment. But one other thing before I let you go is that the other thing that people fear about demand that I've heard is it's a content farm and it's going to fill the internet with crap. To which you say?
Well, You know, as I tried to articulate, we're in the business of creating engaging consumer experiences. I mean, it's hard to separate the distribution piece from the creation piece. So every piece of content that we create has to live somewhere. And if it's crap, the users are going to certainly register that immediately. If it's crap, the advertisers are going to hate it. And people are going to stop coming back to our websites. So we have every incentive to create super high quality content because we want to grow traffic, we want to engage the audience, and we value our consumers and we value what the advertisers are looking for.
So quality matters. Indeed, at About.com, when they got rid of a low-performing writer and replaced it with a better writer, better quality, better traffic, better revenue. So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, but I mean, we've got a system where you need to apply to get in to create the content. So this is not an open platform where you can just show up and write whatever you want. I mean, you've got to be qualified, you've got to be a professional, you've got to submit a writing sample and a resume. So we are very focused on quality. So I sort of take umbrage with that statement.
So that's fine. You're allowed to take umbrage.
Umbrage taken.
You get your chance to respond to it out there.